Hi, I'm Rob Cosman. Welcome to my shop here in Grand Bay, New Brunswick, Canada. I thoroughly enjoy making drawers, and making drawer stops has become an essential part of that. I'm going to show you my favorite ones. Stay with me and I'll teach you how. So, what am I talking about? Drawer stop. Let me show you some examples. I'm also going to tell you why I had to get after this. So you want something to prevent those drawers from being pulled out all the way. Obviously, if you're opening up a drawer, there's an end somewhere, and you don't want to have it ending up on your feet. And we did a video on this. We'll leave a link below of different drawer stops that I've used over the years. But the one I'm going to show you today is the one that I now find to be my favorite. And actually, I was forced to develop it to fit something after the fact. And it was this. So this is a tool cabinet that's been in progress for a long time. Just kind of modify it, live with it, and then change it and go on. So we probably started 10 years ago, hard to believe. And it's always just been my drawer, my tool case, so I'm the only guy using it. But then I started hiring employees, and one of them came in one day, opened up the drawer, brought it all, and it came out, landed on the floor, smacked up the wood, and I said, oh, I can't do that anymore. So what we've done is we've gone in and made it so that the drawer cannot come out all the way. But if you do need it, you reach up underneath, turn that little toggle, and now it'll come all the way out. When you put it back in place, you turn the toggle the other way, and it locks it. You get almost the entire access to the entire drawer before it stops. Now, I'll show you what it looks like. I did on all of them. It didn't take long. So we've got a little recess cut into the back of the drawer. And we've got a little toggle here with one screw, piece of hardwood that you turn sideways. So turn it like this, and it allows your drawer to pass through on that little notch on the back of the drawer. Once you put it back in, pass by, turn it like that, and now it acts as a great stop, and nothing ends up on your feet. So I have some drawers on the other side of my drill cabinet. My drill press cabinet that need to have this because they've almost fallen out several times. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the building of it, and the installation. It can be a little bit tricky when the drawers are narrow because you got to get a screw up in there, but we'll get through it. So that's what I'm going to do next. I was thinking about this last night, and I realized that this mechanism for preventing the drawer from pulling out could also be used to stop the drawer where you want it. Now I put these in, but there's one in here. So you can see it when I turn it this way in order to be able to open the drawer. Got to get it lined up just right. But turn sideways, that would actually stop up against here. Now this is not a great example because these actually have finger holes in order for you to access them, but it could easily be incorporated to be the means of preventing the drawer from closing farther than you want as well. Anyway, just a thought. So we don't want this toggle to be too thick because that means it hangs down in here. It means we have to cut a deeper groove in the back of the drawer, which isn't such a big deal, but you don't want it getting caught up on stuff if your drawer is almost full. So if I put this drawer back in and then measure what we have for a gap, it looks like it's about a 32nd of an inch. And then we take into account that the back is less than a 32nd of an inch. So if we had that 1/8 of an inch, would that be too much? No, 1/8 of an inch will work. So I'm going to make it 1/8 of an inch thick. Doesn't really need to be terribly long. I'm going to suggest 2 inches. And how wide does it need to be? Well, you want it to be strong enough. If it's too narrow and you've got a hole in the middle where you've put the screw, then you risk breaking it. But let's just look at this on a piece of paper and see. We had it 2 inches long by, and it's going to be 1/8 of an inch in thickness. Do we want it to be a 1/2 inch? 1/2 by 2? Yeah, I think so. So a 1/2 inch. And it doesn't really matter what we use. I'll use a piece of hardwood of some sort. So I'm just going to cut out a shape that'll look like this. We'll drill a hole in it. We'll knock off the corners just for comfort's sake. And of course it's going to be an 1/8 inch thick. We'll plane it up, but I'm going to go cut a piece like that. And then the only other big task is we want to cut that groove in the back, and we want that to be nice and neat. So we may jig that up a little bit. It's going to have to be done mostly with a chisel. Okay, I made it a piece long enough so I can do all of them. Now I need to plane that and clean it up. And sometimes it's hard to clamp something that narrow. So what I do is take a piece of MDF with some sandpaper on there that has an adhesive on it. Make sure that's laying flat. And that'll actually provide enough grip. One more. And flip it over and do the same on this side. Already thinking that may be just a little bit too wide. Now we'll clean this up on both sides. And then we'll actually cut these off over here. I'm just going to knock off the corners. We'll just take the bulk of it with the saw, and we'll clean it up on the plane. Just eyeball them to make them look even. Can't have any of the threads engage in this piece. Got to be able to move freely, but we want it to be somewhat snug. So we'll find our center point. We can eyeball the 1/2 inch. That looks good. Now we'll have to countersink that, but we want to get that shaft diameter first, match that up. I'll use my Yankee drill. And I'm going to guess and say right there. That looks about right. Try to get in the habit of always putting this back so that I don't end up searching for it in the future. It's a handy rig. Now, countersink that. If you're wondering why I'm doing it all by hand, for the amount of work, as opposed to having to go over and set up either a cordless drill or a drill press, this is quiet. I want that head to sit flush. Okay, there. Now, just a 1/2 inch, and that's all I have. The dividers are 1/2 inch, so that'll sit in there okay. Now, that's going to be drilled up inside, but now we've got to cut a slot for this. Let me just put some of this stuff away. Okay, now we need to cut a slot in here that will allow this to pass through, and then once the drawer's in, we turn it sideways. Actually, it fits like that, and it'll come up tight. So we don't want this to be too wide, but we don't want it to be super close either. So now this is just a little over, just a little under 14.5. So the easiest way for my simple math to do that is to have the rule hang out this side, hang past the side by the same amount as the half mark is on that side. And then half of 7 and 14.5 is going to be 7 1/4. So there's my halfway mark. And I don't trust myself, so I always come back in and measure that. That's just under 7 1/4. It's just under 7 1/4. That's a 1/2 inch, so let's make our gap, let's go 5/8. Now, we want that to be nice and clean. We don't want I don't want to just have a square cut. I'm going to taper it. So I'm going to come back here. Oh, how deep are we going to go? I think an 1/8 of an inch is plenty. So I'm going to put another mark, an 1/8 inch beyond the edge, and that's where I'll start the slope. Now I use my marking gauge, and I'm going to take the thickness of this, which is all I need, because if you'll remember, this is sitting lower. This is going to be sitting down from the top 1/8 of an inch. This is already lower. It's not touching the top. So if I set that for almost, actually about the thickness of that, I'll have plenty of clearance. Now, I'm just going to carry those inside lines down the face so that I won't go beyond that with my marking gauge. And this is pine, it's nice and soft, so we should be able to cut really deep. Nice thing about a wheel style gauge is you can roll it. The old style marking gauge that had a pin, as soon as you set it down, you lost sight of the pin. So it was hard to creep up on it. But this way you can just roll that last little bit to get it where you want it. Okay. Now, to remove that, I'm just going to make a series of cuts. Okay, I'm going to use my little 3/4 dovetail or crosscut saw since I have it. It's nice, it's small, easy to control. So I will stay away from this line. Ooh. Now make sure that's actually, I should put some blocks on there so I don't mark it up. That mark that we made will prevent this from breaking out beyond the line. Main concern is just to have it look neat. I'm using this 1/2 inch chisel with a 17-degree grind on it. I went a little deep on that first cut because I had my thumb obscuring the line. Even though we're cutting across the grain, that chisel's nice and sharp. We should get a nice clean cut. Okay, now I could make a little ramp on there and just pair that off with the chisel on the ramp, or I could do it freehand. I'm going to try doing it freehand first. Now I'm going to switch to a wider chisel so I don't have to do it in steps. And I don't want to slam into the, I don't want to slam into that and leave a mark. So I'll just try to do that with a lot of control. Of course, that's all a function of level of sharpness. I'm raising this up a little bit each time. And that side-to-side movement makes it easier for me to stop it where I want it. And one more. Okay, so that's got lots of clearance. So that'll go through, get turned, and then gives you lots of surface area. So all we got to do now is put this in the right spot. Okay, so my drawer front is 5/8 of an inch. So I don't want, contrary to what I said earlier, I don't want the drawer front hitting the drawer stop and preventing it from closing. So I've got to be in at least 5/8 of an inch beyond the front edge of the drawer stop. So just so that we're clear, in the closed position, the drawer stop is going to be like that. So we need to position it so that we have at least 5/8 of an inch from here, or from the front edge of the divider to the front edge of this, which isn't a big deal. It is, unless we put it in the wrong spot. So we just got to go in and find our 1/2 inch mark. The opening is just under 14.5. Can't do my trick like I did. So we'll go in just under 7.25. I'll grab my square. Okay, and I'll just draw a line. And we want to go in 5/8. So what I'm going to do is just put my square, put my straight edge on here so that I've got 5/8 on, a little more than 5/8. Actually, we'll use our 16th scale. So there's our 5/8 that we need. That would put us centered at this point of the hole for the screw would be at 7/8. I'm going to go 15/16, which will take it back a little bit further. This drawer is wide compared to narrow, so unless your drawer fits really well, it's going to get jammed on you when you bring it out that far, but we'll be good. Okay. Yeah, let me lay that sideways. It makes more sense. 15/16. Now, this is pine. It's in there far enough. I don't have to worry about splitting it. I don't have to worry about a pilot hole. I'm just going to use my thumb to push on that to get it started, or to give it a spot to start. Now, in order to turn that, I can't reach it. So Jake reminded me I've got this little right angle attachment, which just enough room. Now, there's a handle on there to stabilize it. Try to keep that in there, or drill that straight. So we want that straight on. Turn it sideways. And it doesn't fall out. Doesn't interfere. Allows it to close. Turn it that way. Got to get straight on. Open it up. Now, just take a pencil and erase those marks, but that's all there is to it. So you can go in and redo any drawers you have. If you enjoy my method of work and like my style of teaching, click on any one of these videos to help take your woodworking to the next level. I've always said better tools make the job so much easier. If you click on the plane and chisel icon below, it'll take you to our site and introduce you to all the tools that we actually manufacture right here in our shop. It'll also give you information on our in-person and online workshops.